What is up? What is up? This is It's a Work. It's a podcast. Um, we go over all the stuff going on with wrestling, with combat sports. That's what we do here. All right. Um, so today, it's Saturday. A lot happened this week. So one of the big stories that we didn't cover on the Spear in our show earlier this week, for good reason, was the CM Punk story. Now, there's so much to get into. I want to go through it all and have kind of like a definitive collection of all the things that are going on. So that's what we're going to try to do here. That's our main focus. Okay. This is basically an AEW show, right? And again, the reason we didn't talk about it on the show earlier in the week is because there was so much fluidly happening in the situation that I didn't want to comment. And I really wanted like I said, a definitive sort of like, here's what's going on as of now with any kind of like bullshit taken out, right? So that's what we're going to do here today. We'll be right back. All right. So we're going to get started, right? So CM Punk made his arrival to AEW at All Out. 1 year later, at All Out, he leaves AEW, basically. That was when the infamous press conference happened, and we haven't seen him since then, right? Wow, looking back at that press conference now, if you go back and watch that, it's even more mind-blowing now than it is then. It became what I think is probably the biggest story in wrestling, and it's still going on. And unfortunately, it's now involving some legal things. So there's a lot of stuff we don't know. But here's what we do know. Okay. We do know. Hold on. You know what? All right. So here we go. So here's what we do know. A few months ago, there were a lot of rumors starting to circle about the return of CM Punk to AEW. Okay. At the time when all that stuff's coming out, that all seemed to be connected to this impending announcement of their new TV show. So it was kind of like a package deal. We were made to believe, if you believed, that CM Punk was going to come back and he was going to be on this new show, or at least heavily featured on this new show. Right. Okay. So he was going to be heavily featured on this new show. That was what everyone was told. That's what we heard. So along with that, we started to hear this idea of a roster split in AEW. And we said, I put out something at the time saying, from what I've been told from people I talked to about it and things that I've heard about it, it was certainly considered to do a hard roster split. It was also considered to do a soft roster split, but it seemed like the hard roster split was not going to be play, and that the hope was things were going to get worked out. Okay. So all of this is extremely up in the air. We don't know any of this. Sure, at least. People have speculated. We don't know. Okay. So on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, Warner Brothers Discovery had their upfronts. And this is where they announce all their new stuff going on TV. Okay. The rumor was that this new show was going to get announced at the upfronts, and that along with it, CM Punk was going to get announced. That was the rumor. And again, all this speculate, I tend to not believe most of these things personally, unless I hear something otherwise, right? So we get to Wednesday at the upfronts. They officially announced Collision. That's going to be on TNT every Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m. And along with that, I'll note, they did specify that it's supposed to be live. That was on one of the graphics. It was going to be live. That was one of the questions I had about it. It's going to be live most times, and then other times it will be taped on the Thursday before. That's what we've heard so far. And of course, things will change. There's some weeks where they'll have Wednesday Night Dynamite, a Friday Night Rampage, a Saturday Night Collision, and a pay-per-view that week. Like, that's not extremely feasible. So we'll see how that plays out. The press release for this announcement includes some specific wrestlers like Thunder Rosa, Miro, Andrade, right? It did not include CM Punk. So then we find out later that day, there was an original draft of this press release that did include CM Punk. There was at least a copy of this that included CM Punk at some point. The final one that goes out does not. How that happened, who knows? Later that day, specifically some sort of PR person at WBD comes out and says, specifically, CM Punk is not affiliated with AEW Collision, that brand. CM Punk is not affiliated with the AEW Collision brand. Okay. So, by the end of the upfronts and this whole saga playing out, we didn't get CM Punk. We found out there was great reason to believe he would be there because he was on the original press release. And then we get a spokesperson saying he's not affiliated with that brand. Now, this is wrestling. So it's like if Tony Khan or whomever on the AEW side told the network, hey, let's take him off and let's not talk about that. And let's say he's not affiliated if anyone asks, because that'll make the surprise even better, right? That would make sense to me. So again, that's what happened, but we don't know the finality of that. Okay? That is what happened. Come Wednesday night. Okay, that's what happened at the upfronts. Come Wednesday night on Dynamite, we have Tony Khan is supposed to make a big announcement. After the upfronts, we were all pretty much assuming it was going to be Collision, and maybe CM Punk was going to be part of that announcement. I think we actually put something out that was saying it's expected that CM Punk was going to be announced for it. And then later on is when everything else came out. And by the time, we got to the announcement, it was like kind of clear to some that CM Punk probably wasn't going to be a part of that. All right, so Tony Khan comes on there and he announces all these dates for future collisions. He does not mention, he announces the location of all these future collisions and the dates, right? He does not announce the location for the very first one. So he says next week we're going to announce the location of the very first Rampage. Sorry. He says next week we're going to announce the location of the very first collision, right? Now, okay. So sorry. Live show. So, Tony Khan does not announce the location for the very first collision. He says, next week, I'm going to announce that location. Okay. At some point in this, let's take a step back for a second. At some point in this, we get, this kind of like string of posts from CM Punk, right? We get a string of posts from CM Punk's, I think his Instagram. One of them I'm going to read. It's, this is interesting to hear in the context of this story. Okay. Friendly reminder. I haven't been on TV in 9 months and y'all still just can't stop talking about me. Maybe stop. You'll feel better. Love, hate, it's all the same. I don't enjoy being the sole person that props up entire misinformed clickbait industry based on toxic gossip from lying sources. But what can you do? When you're the king, it comes with the crown. So that's what CM Punk said, and I believe that was actually before the episode of Dynamite. Later on, he posts some video where he's talking to the camera and he says, tells fans to go touch grass. Mentions the parasocial relationship between some fans and some people within wrestling, which is, it is an interesting thing to examine. I'm not sure that in the midst of all this going on, that's going to help the cause. That's probably just going to get more people to talk. But again, he's the king, so he knows what he's doing. Right? Okay. So again, then we get to Dynamite. Tony Khan's big announcement. He announces he announces the location for a bunch of collisions, but doesn't announce the very first one. Right? And then at the end of Dynamite, we find out after the show went off air, the Elite's in the ring. Again, if you didn't see, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but the Elite got back together in the ring after, including Hangman. And you hear Kenny say this message to the crowd, which is basically we're showing that two men can get in a ring or get into a room and work out their differences, even if they hate each other. Which I thought was very timely, considering everything that's going on. And again, it's wrestling. So they know what's going on just as much as we all do. So it could be kind of feeding into that. Like, oh, if you say this, then, you're going to create some buzz. It did create buzz. And I do think it's extremely interesting that he chose to speak that way at that time. So that's pretty much where we are with it. It's been a crazy ride with CM Punk and AEW. Like, if you would have told me that this is where it would have ended up when we started, I wouldn't have believed you at all. In some ways, it's very interesting. It has become, like I said, like the story in all of wrestling. And there's something to be said for that. But at the same time, the CM Punk we saw at that press conference, that's not who any of us want to remember and have in our minds as CM Punk in the wrestling world, and that's the last thing he does. Like, none of us want that. So, I mean, for me, it'd be great if he came back and we sort of corrected course on this. But that remains to be seen. That's pretty much where we are right now. I will tell you this. A lot of people will tell you that AEW needs CM Punk, especially trying to launch Collision. A lot of people will tell you that. I will say, if CM Punk isn't a part of Collision, at least right off the rip, then it means you don't have to worry so much about this. You don't have to worry so much about the roster split, which I think is a good thing. To me, that was never really a good idea for them. Not a hard roster split. Like, in the time that WWE will have theirs, you'll see crossover. But for the most part, most people will stay on their sides. And I'm not sure that AEW needs that across the board. I think it'd be cool if certain people kind of like found a home on Collision or found a home on Dynamite, and that's where you would go to see them, and that's where they would pretty much be, and it would be big stuff that they were involved in. Which, again, I think when Rampage started, that was the idea there, was to have it be just like Dynamite as far as the importance of it. And in many ways, it just isn't. And so I would like to think with Collision, they're trying to correct that, and they're going to have it be like a premiere show. And I think in their minds, and probably the network's minds, and maybe this is true, to have it be a premiere show, you need some marquee stars that are 100% going to be there. One more thing about Collision is it came out, I think yesterday, that Bryan Danielson is going to be a part of the creative team there. He's going to be helping out with the creative on Collision, and has been doing so in general for a little while now, which I think is awesome. Daniel Bryan is one of the best guys in the business today. He has been for years, and he is on fire in AEW. I personally think everything he's done has been golden since he went over there. And the fact that they have him helping out with creative shows a really big, it shows big momentum towards Bryan Danielson staying there for a while. Because I think he even said, like, I'm going to go to AEW, then I'm going to go back to WWE. Like, I think he's even said that those are options for him. But if AEW gets him really integrated into their product that way, and gets him doing creative stuff and gets him doing stuff that he enjoys, I think that could be key to keeping him around, that is important for them. Again, Daniel Bryan is one of the best. You don't want to lose one of the best because of whatever, because he wants to go back to WWE. No. You want to utilize a guy like that as much as possible. So I think that's really good for them, and it's really good for him. Smart move. Um, it shows again, like Tony Khan is a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows the right people to lean on. I remember a story about whenever the pandemic first broke, you've got an empty arena for Dynamite at Daly's Place, and you've got reports coming in all around that it's going to be worse. It's going to be bad, and we're going to be going in lockdown and travel restrictions and all this, right? And in that moment, Tony Khan leans on Cody Rhodes, Tony Schiavone, a couple other key people that were there, and they made it work. They made it happen. Tony knows how to do that. So I guess what I'm saying is with Collision, Tony's going to get it right. He's going to figure it out. Now, as far as the CM Punk thing, I don't know. If it is as toxic as, how do you phrase it? Because I don't even want to imply that it is toxic. I don't want to imply at all that there's really anything even going on. Like, there literally could be nothing going on with them. The relationship could be great. It could be at an all-time great, and none of us know. And we're just falling into all the stuff that's come out, that they've let come out, that WBD has let come out, right? It's wrestling. And that honestly is what makes it awesome. That makes it more fun. That's what makes it more fun. Because it's like, is it real or is it not real? And that's another reason why I'm so glad that Tony, Cody, and Brandy never actually have said why they left. Because it's like, it's up in the air. And then if the day comes that he ever goes back or they go back, it's like, well, if you don't air your dirty laundry, then you have like nothing to clear up, right? On the contrary, if CM Punk comes back to AEW, he has a lot to clear up, So it's going to be interesting. I just can't even believe that this is where we are in this situation. I guess I was hopeful for the return of CM Punk to AEW, to wrestling, to make it right. Again, I don't want to see him go out from a post-event press conference rant. That's not how I want to see him go out. And on another note, he looks in damn good shape. He looks in damn good shape. So he does come back. Looks like he's preparing. Looks like he's preparing. So we will see. This is a story that tomorrow, by the time anyone sees this, by next week, it could be totally evolved. So I definitely want to say that in here. Like, for one, I've mentioned a lot of things on purpose that were speculation, and I referenced them as speculation. Most of this we don't officially know. And I stated what we do know is what we do know, right? I don't want anyone to think that, whatever. If someone sees this like down the line, I don't want them to think we're choosing a side or choosing how this story's going to end or anything like that, because we're really not. We really don't know. We really don't. We don't know what's going to happen. But all right. So I feel pretty good about the Hang on, let's see. Our looks like our stream's lagged a little bit. Let's see. Um, hmm. Okay, let me try to figure this out. Huh. It's like something's going on here. So that's okay. We have a local copy. It's okay. I think we just need to I think we need to take a look at our streaming bit rate. Because for whatever reason right now quality doesn't look too good. Hmm. Okay. Oh. Okay, we just send it up. See what happens. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Wow. See if it gives us anything here. Huh. I don't know. Looks pretty good. Lower than recommended. Oh, I think YouTube's just like freaking out. Wait, did we just go out or no? Weird. Okay, sorry. Right. Let's see. Let's see what else we got going on. Oh, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre. We okay. So we had reported, well, we didn't report. We put out a video about the Drew McIntyre situation and that in my estimation, it did not seem to be an issue about money, it seemed to be an issue about creative. That's been confirmed. It is a creative issue. Does not seem to be a money issue, but Drew has not signed. He still has not signed. I think the way this is going to play out is going to be very interesting because of a couple reasons. One, the hiring and contract renewal freeze um, that was established pre-purchase. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that because that may or may not have been lifted. We'll see. And the other piece is, of course, if he does actually leave, that would be giant. Where would he go? Would he even continue wrestling? It's the other piece. That's one of those stories we need to keep watching because I think it impacts a lot more than just Drew McIntyre. Oh man, Fightful did a. I want to mention this. Fightful did a fantastic interview with Will Ospreay. Man, that guy's incredible. He's incredible. I'm really excited for Forbidden Door this year. I'm really excited for that. And that's coming from a guy I follow zero Japanese wrestling. It's not really ever been my thing. Um uh we'll probably never like accurately cover it. Maybe eventually we'll find somebody who can do a show about just Japanese wrestling stuff, but yeah, um I'm really excited about Forbidden Door this year though. Like I think it's going to be one of the better shows and the fact it's just like this summer for AEW coming into that this summer going into the fall or into September, right? This summer going into September for AEW is monstrous. September, of course, is when the All In show is. It's already sold like 70,000 tickets or almost 70,000 tickets for a stadium. Come, come on. To me, that's one of the things. Like anyone that talks about uh, uh some of the stuff going on with AEW, or people who just like generally don't prefer it or haven't watched it, get that stat. Take in that stat. AEW has sold like AEW has sold 70,000 tickets to a wrestling show at Wembley during a time when WWE is doing stadiums for a bunch of pay-per-views all over the world. And AEW is taking their show there. That's big. For wrestling, it's big. And I'm really excited to see what they do with that. Of course, um, by the time all of this happens, by the time we get there, we're gonna hopefully have some resolution to the CM Punk situation. That's I would assume by then we would have something figured out. Let's do one last do a last scoop here. Okay. You know, um, one thing that that Camille Cameron Katie Taylor fight was that was incredible to see. As the event, that was incredible to see. Now, was it the result that most of people wanted? Nah. But it's all good. It was a great fight. That was fun to watch. All right. Well, there we are. There we go. This has been It's a Work. It's a podcast. The main thing here was to go over the CM Punk situation, just to like take a snapshot of where we are now. It's a lot. We'll have more as things progress. I hope for the best for everybody. Ultimately, if he wants to come back, I hope he comes back. If he doesn't want to come back, then, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame legend already. So it's all good. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't, come on, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe to the video, to our channel as we ascend. Thank you.